longer in here. It's like, oh, there's that. No, there's to be, there's too many. Yeah, you'll have to know how to dial out. If it's like, it's not a local. You know, this is where your jail standards come in. I couldn't say, did you get in jail standards? Yeah. This is crazy. Yes. They got no gas either. They got no gas either. I understand what the difference is. I know. And that remakes it. And even down to. Hey, Bill, can you hear me? Can you just don't propane? I got it. Okay, we're just gonna put you on speakerphone. Judge Davenport's here and they'll be starting here in just a minute. All right. Okay, any updates from Chief Starbuck or anyone else? We're kind of great for me. It's sad. Oh, okay. You want, I tell you what, Judge Davenport's gonna call you from his phone. It'll be right in front of him. This is over on the side. So he'll call you from his cell phone. That way you can hear everything. All right. Yeah, that will. iPhone's still on interception.
Well, it's not right down here, but it works. I mean, I think I got a couple bars. Like this, I'm gonna be down and go get it. It's not leaving.
That is what good.
Okay, where you want to lay it down? Glasses on, Eric.
You're what?
So I gotta get my glasses on.
Oh.
Okay,
Sorry, you're breaking this about it.
now it's fine.
Over.
2, 4, 2.
I've been going
to the one now. 8, 7, 6, 9.
He needs the stuff. Because it's in the
Right.
contract. Perfect.
Hello, this is Judge Davenport. All right, you hear me okay? All right, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to see if I can change this. I forgot I'm wearing hearing aids.
I was
And
like,
it's
how do you
Bluetoothing into
do
my
that?
hearing aids. So let me see if I can figure out how to make that stop. I'll go up here to settings. And then I'll go to Bluetooth and cut all the Bluetooth out. Now can you hear me okay?
Primary issue.
Hang on a second.
Communication. No, that and getting natural gas.
I think I lost it. You still there? Okay.
But they. How long was that one time class? And then what they said is you gotta tell us. And that's what I was telling him all ago.
We're not running sick.
Yeah.
I said.
Radio. Really?
Yeah. I was trying to look. We sent them all the critical facilities for the city and then the courthouse, jail. Justice. That and then the jail. Yes, they mentioned contract. Jason Parker. They had medical, so they got the Navarro Regional, the dialysis center.
Are you still there?
They've got all the medical. But,
Okay, I'm having trouble switching my phone and getting it on the,
turn my phone.
get the,
Ringer off.
speaker.
So you could have that in all night.
phone system for some reason.
Ring it like it did me.
connected to it.
Yes, okay. You're the list.
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna try to.
I mean, the next.
Yes, my. Tomorrow. Yeah.
We had so many.
I always thought. Next America was
They're heading out of jail now,
Yeah.
that's vaccine.
But something's happened. Beyond our control. Is there not?
Still there? Well, man, this is crazy.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a new phone and, I'm having some issues with it at this point. So I'm gonna let Eric call you back. Okay? Eric, try calling him back. Can you do that? Bring your phone up there or you come up here and sit. I don't care.
I'll give you my phone. That's why I dialed in on that one.
Well, I don't think that will pick up at that distance. I think that's our issue. If I put it right here in the middle of the room, it probably would. If you guys, I want to come around here and just sit up here front. I think it's gonna be a lot better.
Gonna be a real impromptu meeting. Where's that? I know you're not used to sitting on the front row.
Watch it now, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good student now. Pretty good. Robert, come sit up here. I just seen you all morning in every meeting. Yeah, I got to have some more.
Most of the meetings, so.
I see it.
It's a good spot for cell phone reception.
Right there.
Hello?
They don't have it yet.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
So 3 months. It's temporary.
They would have to be requested. It's so.
That's 3 months.
The new contract. Only how it's like. Quick fee.
January, and there's another 4,000, so that's 8. If you're looking at so you're still looking at 10,000. Yeah, they would take Here's your way. Hey, so, hey, you said it's one of those. See what I'm saying? Monthly use is 4,000, but it's very rigid, because we're not gonna
Okay, you can hear me now? Okay, I'm gonna put the phone up here at the front bench and they'll be able to hear you. Thank you, Phil.
And that's the ones that don't stay in the shower all night long.
That's your Eddie Perry's.
I remember that.
Certainly we've reached our emergency.
Yeah.
We can. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Sorry?
I do.
I thought I was just elected to take care of roads.
Surprise.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff.
Surprise.
That's your serial number.
Are we born with these? Don't you?
I learned that last January when I got a call at 2 o'clock in the morning during the storm. That there's a tree down about a mile from my house.
It was 50 bit, huh?
So when they said the guy couldn't get out and go to work. So I get a chainsaw, get my slaves over all the freaking truck. So heading that way, I called the foreman, I alerted him, I said, look, it's right here by my house, I think I can take care of it, if I can't, I'll call you, I'll get over there. You could pick it up with one hand and set it over the side, and the guy was sitting there in his car waiting on me to do it to go.
Wow.
I wanted, I had a weapon in my truck. I thought about it. No, I really didn't, but God, dog, I mean, he just had to get out and move it. Crazy.
What's up, Brady? Unless he's talking about a normal usage of that, right there is.
Yeah.
Over at that, this is what the amendment.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to think. That way he can see what a normal.
Jason?
Or,
Ready? Let's start. I'll let you.
What's
make
that?
the motion.
How many deals so I can read?
Again,
Read. You make part of that second part down below, if you want to read it that way. Let me show you.
That what it's for?
Yeah.
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 That's.
It is 1:07, December the 6th, 2023. I make a motion, or I'm sorry. I make a motion that the emergency meeting due to Atmos energy outage for Navarro County SO of the Navarro County Commissioner Court will be held. Come to order.
Second.
Postman. Second. Motion made by Commissioner Grant, I believe seconded by Commissioner Perry. Before you had an opportunity to do that. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are in session. And of course, the item that we need to do right now is discuss the issues. Or discuss and issue necessary directives for Atmos Energy outage for NCSO. Eric, didn't you talk with Office of Emergency Management?
yes,
Texas.
Judge, we have been in contact. TDM is actually, on monitoring right
Okay,
now.
okay.
And ready to stand by for any requests and or needs.
Good.
The sheriff and I have both made contact with Atmos, and we just got a call that they're gonna be bringing in a CNG truck to go directly into their meter.
Good.
We've asked for an ETA and, he has not replied back, but he said one will be en route.
Cool, cool. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Shame they didn't do that early this morning. I mean, when it was obvious that, you know, there were issues, but, okay, Sheriff, you want
Well, basically, this is I called this morning to get this emergency meeting because we do deem this as an emergency. I know it's really important to the citizens because it affects their households as well. And not to say that we're more important than they are, but our scenario basically comes from the correctional facility where we have 232 inmates in there today. And we operate under something called Texas Jail Standards, and they kind of dictate to us the terms of how we do business over there. And so this is going to directly affect what's, us remaining in compliance with Texas Jail Standards. So what we're discussing is the meals for the inmates, the heat for the inmates in that facility, and the ability to provide hot water. And all of those things are covered under Texas Jail Standards. And basically, I can answer any question you may have, but we didn't know anything about this, as I'm sure you didn't, this morning. We weren't formally notified that there was an outage or whatever, so we could make any type of preparations. Actually, the way I found out about it is by going into the office this morning at the beginning of the shift, and it was a little over 60, between 60 and 65 degrees on the thermostat there in the office. And I thought, and this is not right. So I went over to make an adjustment to make sure it was accurate, and the unit didn't come on. So naturally, I thought, there's probably some type of mechanical issue, and to contact the maintenance department to see if they could come and, find out what's going on. And about that time, I was alerted that on social media, there was a lot of, citizens on there talking about a gas outage. Well, as soon as I saw that, I said, well, there's a problem. It's not an issue with the unit itself. So from there, we, phone calls began to start being made and trying to assess how serious this was. And I visited with the jail command staff who's present here, and then spoke with some representatives from Atmos to see if this is a long-term event or if this is, relatively short in nature as a normal, outage. And what I was told is that it could be 2 to 3 days before the repair could be made. Now, is that official, the statement from Atmos? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what was sent to us. That creates an emergency for us to have to come to you and discuss some options involving all parties. Because one of the things that jail standards says and dictates to us is you have to provide 2 hot meals per day for the inmates. Or relatively hot, which means it doesn't have to come straight off the stove, but it's got to get to them warm or hot. Without the Atmos gas there, we don't have the ability to do that. We do have the ability to serve, cold meals, like this morning, when we knew it was out, they received a cold breakfast. For lunch, we did have enough supplies on hand to be able to prepare a meal for them, but it was a cold meal. So as we progress further, depending on what day it is, before it's restored or however we get restoration is to affect what we do. So just to kind of give you a few things there, we have been in contact with our provider, our food provider, 5-star, and they send meals to us once a week, the ingredients, and then we do the final preparation, but it requires gas. And then, there's an option of the sandwiches, and we can comply with that through, I've visited with the auditor as well today and the county judge. And we do have some things that we can do there and actually working with our food provider as well. But the question becomes hot or cold. So we've reached out to Texas Jail Standards and reported this, although it's no fault of our own, for a couple of reasons. One is I anticipate numerous complaints being lodged and coming in through jail standards for our staff to have to answer in regards to this situation. So we didn't want them to find it out from the street or through these complaints. So we self-reported, we let them know up front. And what they wanted to know is, what's our plan? Well, that's another reason why we're having this meeting today, is so that we jointly develop a plan so we can move forward and be prepared, and hopefully we'll never see this again. One of the things, and Eric kind of spoke to it a few minutes ago, is fortunately I have a friendship with an individual that's in a certain location within Atmos, and I was able to call him direct and ask him a question. I understand that we're priority because of where we are and what we're doing, but do you have the capability of bringing in a trailer of gas and hooking direct to our meter so we can reestablish the services to those inmates over there? And he wasn't sure that they could, but he would do some checking to see if that would be available, which would be the best case scenario for us, for everybody involved. That would allow us to come back online, and all these other contingencies would no longer be in place. And about 12:15 or 12:30, I received a call from a high-ranking official at Atmos, and he said they were attempting to facilitate that request, and he needed to know some technical things in reference to our usage and stuff, so they could comply. I reached out to Terry during the noon hour, and we were over there just a minute ago, and she was getting me that information that I now have forwarded to Atmos. And then again, this morning, deeming this to be kind of an emergency situation, I immediately reached out to Eric. So we've been working together throughout the morning, and he's reached out to the state and to keep them aware of what's going on. And he's got me update here within the last few minutes that I believe that they are granting that request to get the trailer over there, which should reestablish, what we need for that facility to go back operational. The downside of that is I'm told that if they do bring that, they're going to have to park it in an area over there of the facility that will prevent us from being able to use the northern Sallyport area of the jail, which means inmates coming into the facility. Common practice is to come up that ramp on First Street and bring in the facility, close the doors. And then once they've done their business, they'll leave through the south. That's not something we haven't dealt with in the past because of some maintenance issues. So we're comfortable that we have a plan in place to be able to do that. If that's the only thing that's required of us to be able to get back online and get serviceable. So I guess with that latest development, if that occurs, then we're good to go. But back to the part of if it doesn't occur,
No ETA,
no ETA.
Should have it shortened.
okay.
And I don't know, I've seen that done before, but I don't know what all that entails to be able to do that. I'm assuming that all of the water heaters within the facility and all of the kitchen things will have to be the air will have to be purged out of the lines, and there'll have to be a startup procedure there, same for, the same as it would be for your household. And I'm assuming, but that's an assumption, because we hadn't had that conversation, that that's something that at most may provide for us. But if not, we have a maintenance crew there and availability to move forward. So take a step back for just a second to say, we try to anticipate and prepare for lots of contingencies, throughout the year, and especially in our budgeted session or preparing for budget. And yourself from being in budget many times here that sometimes it seems that some of the things we request are excessive. And although we couldn't anticipate this is one of the very contingencies, or could be, that we try to prepare for by having additional blankets or mattresses or those things, on standby. But we couldn't be prepared for this today, and we couldn't get them today if we did, because it's too short a notice. But we can comply with some needs there. If we have medical patients or whatever the case may be that need some additional bedding or whatever, we can comply with that. And then, kind of unlike your household, where you may have the ability to go down and get an electric heater and plug it into a receptacle and warm your house or whatever, we can't utilize that over there, because again, we go back to something called jail standards. And there's capability of electrocution, shorting out the electrical outlets, using the cords for ligatures. So that's not an option for us. But in trying to stay in front of it and be prepared, we had some discussions about, well, what if we have to comply with the hot meals, or we need to comply with those, how will we comply? And that compounds another issue today, is because I'm told, and I haven't been down 7th, but I've been told and received some text messages that the majority of the restaurants are not operable. So you really don't even have that option to say, hey, we'll go down and get Jack in the Box or Whataburger or whatever to be in compliance, because some of those facilities are not operational either. So we go back to the best case scenario for us is hopefully they can get gas established to the facility on this temporary basis and allow us to restore our own operability over there. And I guess that's pretty much the summary. Oh, one other thing. Texas Jail Standards says and mandates that temperatures inside the facility for inmates has to be 65 to 85 degrees. So this morning, once all this was taking place, and we know this has been a little cooler this last couple of days, we had the staff over there to go in and use our meters to monitor the temperature within the facility. And currently, as of 30 minutes ago, we are in compliance. The lowest temperature we saw in the facility was a little bit above 65 degrees, but most areas were in the area of 68 to 70 degrees. So as we stand right now at this point in time, we're within compliance with that. As far as the water, we're hopeful for gas, restoration of gas, so we can get back online. If we continue to have the issue as far as food preparation, again, Terry has reached out to our vendor 5 Star. I've spoken directly with the 5 Star representative. Charlie's spoken with the 5 Star representative. It may have to be, and I don't run Texas Jail Standards or whatever, but I'm answering, I'm bringing you into the loop. It may be a situation where they have to, understand it's an emergency situation. And if you have to have cold cuts for lunch and cold cuts for dinner, then, but I can't answer for them. I'm simply saying to you, we're going to try to do everything that we can to remain in compliance and do everything we can for those individuals inside the facility. And our office is as cool as it is in correctional facility, and we're there. Is there any question I can answer? Anything that I need to update? Anything that I missed speaking of?
Are there any directives from the state jail standards for emergencies like this?
not that I'm aware of.
So,
It's case by case basis.
so this actually needs to go back to Austin and get this thing in the event of, because we're not the only ones who face this thing, I'm sure.
Well, what I would say
There's
is.
254 counties, and I'm sure we're not the only ones who.
What I
have
would say to that
situations.
is, I'm hopeful that that we can have some form of restoration. And, rather quickly to our service, so it doesn't become a bigger issue than what it already is. As I said, right now, we're in compliance as far as temperatures within the facility. We have fed the inmates, they have not gone without, anything to eat, a morning meal and a lunch meal. With the evening meal scheduled and slated by 5 o'clock this afternoon, that has not been prepared for yet. Because we don't know what the future is yet. And, but again, I have to believe that there is such a thing at any level where an emergency, is deemed an emergency and people have take consideration into that. And that's why we reached out to jail standards to report this rather than having inmates reporting it. And it looks like that, we're being transparent.
I just wonder what would be the alternative, or preventive measure to keep this from happening again, that backup system and what that would cost. But the difference between propane and natural gas is really significant.
Yes, it is.
And so tank size is a whole nother issue, unless it's liquid.
Yes, sir. And we have those contingencies for electricity. We have emergency generators there that will power our dispatch service, so we don't have interruption. And we have emergency generators that will power the correctional facility, so it continues to be operational for electrical. We never anticipated that we might have this scenario. And to be honest with you, I don't know what the contingency is to prepare for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there was a communication breakdown, if they were not aware of the significance or the impact of this event, or if they reached out to someone and we just don't know who that is yet, but we had no notification of the magnitude of this event. So we could even begin for the emergency preparedness. And I've had that conversation with Eric as well. If they reached out to OEM and they had no notification, so.
Well, I can just see, or can I just imagine what it'd be like during Snowmageddon if this had happened when temperature got to 0.
Right.
Holy smokes, it was
Right.
unreal to deal
Right.
with.
But I can say that every representative that I personally have spoken with that knows have been the most professional people you could speak to. They understand that, what our situation is. And I even spoke to them. This is in no fashion for me to lessen the impact that it has on citizens in their own households.
Right.
But you're responsible for those inmates in that facility, and that number right now is 232. And
It appears that the only contingency would be to have all electric mechanical systems with the backup generators, which would be very, very costly.
Yes.
And costly to operate on a regular basis, lot more expensive. than
Right now, the generators for the jail, it'll operate our security system. It operates minimal,
it's
very minimal.
emergency.
Yeah, I know
things,
how
so-
that,
So being with a lot of room like this,
yeah,
you might have 1 or 2 lights on.
we're talking.
We'll
more
stay for air
big-
conditioned systems. It won't run every air conditioner over there, but it is for emergencies only. And it will keep us in compliance and keep us operational until service can be
Be
restored.
restored, yeah. It's a dilemma.
So I've said a lot, and more so, basically what I'm doing is giving you an update. And again, all roads lead to potentially maybe them bringing the trailer in, which will allow us to restore. But in the event that it does not, and I've already had that conversation with Terry, there could be some unanticipated expenditures that will, that we have to make to keep us in or try to stay in compliance, and then providing the necessary what our obligation is to the inmates within that facility, because we certainly don't want to violate anyone's civil rights.
Yeah.
One of the questions I have, Eric, I don't know if it'd be for you or who it might be for. is once we get a trailer online here, how long will a trailer typically operate?
Yeah, how long's it gonna
How
last?
big a trailer is it?
Till it
Yeah,
runs
everything
out.
depends on the usage, and I think that you would just give that information, and Michael Cox with Atmos, has that information. He's gonna be calling us here probably pretty quick, with that information. What I can tell you is they have over 5,000 meters out, or 5,000 meters are impacted. The regulator failed on North 26th. And what they're going to have to do is close every meter in town. So every gas meter will have to be shut off. Once the regulator is repaired and the line is recharged, all critical facilities that we sent over to them this morning, they'll be the first ones to come online, and then everyone else after that. So it's more than likely gonna be more than a day, day and a half type ordeal.
Wonder how
What was
late,
explained to us.
wonder how late into the evening they're gonna be working.
They have.
Well, luckily-
I bet you.
Luckily, it's gonna be nice until Sunday.
Yeah.
It'll be almost 80 degrees Friday.
Well, it was frosted my house this morning.
The update I got from the local representative, I'm glad you asked that question. The update I got from the local representative, the first initial deal was 2 to 3 days, and that might be for complete restoration everywhere. I don't know. I got that secondhand. Firsthand information later this morning was we anticipate potentially with no issues that we can't foresee, there could be a scenario late tonight where we could reestablish to the correctional facility. Potentially, maybe late tonight, but there's no anticipation it will be before that. And that's a best case scenario. So as Charlie asked and Eric answered, is the representative has been in contact trying to determine what our usage is for that facility. So if they're able to facilitate the request, and I'm hearing that they are, to bring a trailer, they need to be able to make sure that they have enough on hand. Whether that means to bring one trailer or bring 2 trailers, whatever it takes. So I got the usage from Terry a few minutes ago. I've sent it out to that individual. They're trying to figure it and determine it themselves. And then once that occurs, hopefully they'll be on the way. And again, the downside for us on that will be to take the northern portion of the Sallyport entrance out of place. And I'm sure you guys have no issue with that. Because, you know, the downside of that compared to being without the gas, that's a no-brainer. What we'll do is we'll see if that occurs, we'll send out notification to all the police jurisdictions within the county, advising them of how to operate in the interim, and as long as we're out of service.
And another thing I want to add that we hadn't spoke on is, it doesn't just impact the feeding of inmates, it also impacts the laundry. Cause we gotta launder every day,
Shower facility.
everything. So as of whenever gas went offline, laundry hasn't been done, since then. And I don't know if you are aware of how much laundry is laundered every day, but
Yeah.
it's steadily backing up. So that also is taken into account.
That being cleaning, that being, well, let me back up, that being linen, that being towels, that is the uniforms. And again, the number today is 232, so that's a significant number.
Yes.
If y'all need some help with that laundry part of it, let me know. I know somebody that can help you out there.
Send us a bid.
This guy.
It is be competitive.
Send us a bid.
It ain't mine, but I got mercy.
Yeah, we'll come there.
Has maybe a food truck been entertained?
So, TDM is online, monitoring right now. Not only are they aware at the district level, they're aware at the state operations center. And they are awaiting any potential requests from the county, as far as needs to respond. All of that's in play. I think that, and I can't speak for Phil, Phil's online, but they are working all of those contingencies in the background as we meet right now.
I think our biggest issue is getting some form of speculation as to, in fact, if we're going to be able to come back online today, even with the trailer, and when that could happen, because as you see, it's 1:30 now, and the normal feeding protocol for the facility is 4:30 or 5. Yeah, so we're within a 3-hour window to provide that third meal today, and we weren't, we weren't anticipating this or prepared for this. As I said, the meal that they served at lunch, they had some surplus there and was able to rob Peter and pay Paul to provide adequate lunch, but I'm not saying that's the case for this evening's meal. So, and I don't know anything, unlike you guys. No one has a crystal ball, but if you are moving in that direction, at least give us some anticipated window there, because there's going to be some after action. It's not gonna be as simple as pulling the trailer up there and running a hose over and hooking it up and everything goes
Yeah.
live and operational. There's gonna be some maintenance to that as well. And so we really need to know, if they could give us some form of assessment so we could prepare for at least this next meal, if we have to go outside to do that or whatever. And where would that come from and what would it be?
Yeah, where do we go? Time
Yeah, where do you
sensitive.
go?
Yes, ma'am.
I have an idea. Charlie, what was the last cost when you purchased meals with your inmate trust fund? 200 or 300?
No, it's,
So,
roughly, we're gonna look at close to $2,000 purchasing them.
okay, and that's for the 232 for tonight, correct?
If we were to like go to wherever we can find it open and that can
I
accommodate.
think the one restaurants on the interstate
Yeah, the ones that,
are okay.
Yeah,
On that side.
And
I know.
and we did this once before,
Right.
and believe it or not, it's a good revenue for whoever that restaurant is.
yes,
But they don't really, believe it or not, to get hit with 235 to 50
Yeah.
orders.
well, that's what I'm saying, you've got,
Sometimes
Split 'em up.
you've got,
Wendy's, and I'm just from experience, from what is out yonder by the interstate, because that's what it sounds like, that might be open.
that's the only ones that I know of, yes.
Wendy's doesn't really like to do this, just for they think that we try to scam them whenever we come and say, hey, we need X amount of cheeseburgers.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if you had to divide it up between them, saying, I want 50 from you, 40
know
from you, or whatever.
Chick-fil-A, well, the thing is, a lot of them, in order to be able to prepare a meal of that magnitude, they have to be notified.
That's what I'm saying, if you're gonna notify them, you notify them now, give them those hours that you'll need to have.
And then, because obviously their surplus, whatever they got, if they can accommodate or not, so.
Right,
One other thing to that too is, and I understand in a normal world, that is a great solution. But we have untold amount of inmates over there that have dietary restrictions.
right.
Yeah.
And again, that comes under jail standards. And you can't just give them, like what you might be me as a everyday citizen. So we have those things in place too.
And keep in mind, the sheriff touched briefly on it a little bit ago about the jail standards and the approval. The temporary meals that we're feeding right now, we have to send to jail standards and get approval. If they don't like it, they'll send it back to us and tell us to modify it in some fashion. And to go along with anyone who's got a special diet, which we do have some of that's got special diets, we also have to figure out, well, how are we gonna feed these people? In order to accommodate their, because, y'all may or may not know that we have a licensed dietitian for the facility. And so we actually have someone that tells us what to serve, how much to serve, and who gets what. So in this case here, it's just a lot of communication back and forth with jail standard and our food vendor and the dietitian.
So have you already talked to them for emergency purposes on what you can utilize?
To jail standards,
Yes.
they're wanting a menu of what we're anticipating on serving, what we have on hand to serve.
They're waiting on us to.
You don't have that.
Which they are aware that in the event that we have to go out, they want to know which place it is or what we are feeding.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you get a
Have you
cheeseburger,
already-
fries, they want to know
Yeah.
because we don't know.
We're waiting
So
to
they
come
have
out of
different
this, we're waiting to
solutions.
come out of this meeting to update jail standards. To let them know what our plan and procedure is moving forward. And again, we say hopefully it is within 2 hours, we'll be back operational, but we don't know that, so.
And
I think-
answer your question on solution,
Yeah.
that's how jail standards works, is whatever issue you present to them, they want to see your solution first. And then they'll tell you yay or nay. And then they may offer, well, what about this? But at this point in time, obviously, we're not really having a time frame of
Right,
what
but
we're.
you don't,
we
but you
know.
need to put something in place, you need to
Yes.
ask them what they'll be comfortable with letting you
They're,
serve.
they're okay with us going out fast food.
Yes,
It's just we gotta figure out where fast food and what we're getting at fast
that's what I'm saying,
food. So,
if they've already given you an idea though.
I know, obviously, Subway's a good one, but that would be a cold meal. We've already exceeded our cold meals for this year, so.
You've got Chick-fil-A, Taco Bueno, Slosh Keeps, Sonic, Wendy's, Chili's, Whataburger, Panda, Popeyes out that way. Those are the only ones that are operational at this time, that are on that side.
Question,
I don't know if anybody's been on that side of town, but it is.
It's packed.
Yes,
yeah,
Lunch was horrible.
they're already,
question, we contract with a food service vendor, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they have any contingencies for this sort of thing happening for emergencies?
They call them Johnny Sacks. Like there might be when Texas Department of Criminal Justice is transporting inmates, they give them a brown sack with a sandwich in it, an apple, and an orange, and chips, away they go. And they have in the past, when our kitchen was shut down, they are,
Yeah.
man, they are great about trying to, and like I said, we visited with them today, all three of us, and they will help in any fashion they can, but they
They have to have
don't,
notice.
they don't, the difference is,
Yeah,
they don't answer to jail standards.
right, and even with the
They
the
provide
Johnny
what they
sack, it doesn't
provide,
meet the
and-
standards to that.
I think for us, maybe the easiest contingency, and Terry, I'll kind of defer to you, is simply getting the support to say, if you have to go out and purchase meals
Yes. We
Yeah.
need to
during
find
this
out
emergency
which-
situation from whoever the vendor is, get the meals,
Yes,
feed the inmates.
yes. But
Yeah,
that's,
it's-
my thing is that jail standards, they want to know ahead of time, but
Yes.
they're not giving you options and
Right.
say, which ones, these are our options, here's the vendors that we have available that are willing to work with us to help us accommodate what we need for our facility, but they're not giving you that.
Well,
So
I would
that's
think,
the hard thing that we have to deal with.
I would think that jail standards, I'm sure they're a tight organization, but I'm sure they would give you some leniency. I mean, if a tornado come through here or a hurricane or an earthquake and we couldn't get no hot meals for a couple of days, I don't think they're gonna turn everybody loose over there. Surely they have
Yeah.
some kind of, in case of emergency, you can get by for this for however long.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
can see them
you-
coming after us. on that.
Jason, you're correct, and another, thing that they would bring up is what is our out-of-county housing plan? Obviously,
Which we don't have.
we don't have, so.
And that's another reason why we have to come, or we need to come in front of you guys, because as we all know, the jail belongs to the Commissioner's Court. I'm just the manager for it. So you might say, why are you, bringing this to us, is because this is you. And, and I try to always handle things without having to bother you with this, but this is an emergency and this is a situation where you need to be briefed and we need to, work through this program together. And hopefully we never face this again. So,
I'd say do whatever you gotta do to get them what they need.
so speaking to that, and thank you for that. So speaking to that is two things that come to mind for me. And I know you're on the outside looking in, and that gives you, that's unfair to you, where I'm on the inside looking out. Is, do we have the food source on hand to be able to provide breakfast in the morning without doing anything else?
Breakfast is fine.
So we can handle that. And I believe if they anticipate bringing that trailer, there's no way that they wouldn't have it online by time for the lunch meal tomorrow, surely. And so really what our emergency for today is the evening meal. And then secondary, what's the anticipation of, that we kind of brought up jokingly there a while ago, but what's the anticipation of having to outsource laundry? How many days can we make it? Because we only have so many jumpers and so much, and again, jail standards controls that. So what is your reasonable expectation with what we have in a facility, additional blankets, additional uniforms? additional bedding, how long do you think we could withstand this before we had to go outside?
The laundry itself, because every day is allotted for certain areas of the jail.
Yes,
And just by.
means transition.
Everything is being pushed back, so whatever's not getting done today, will go to tomorrow, plus whatever tomorrow's laundry is. So I mean, it's a constant pushback of that. So those washers and such are gonna continuously run 24/7 to catch back up.
Yes. Plus means inmates are gonna have to be assigned to that, because
Correct.
we can't work them but a certain amount of hours again because of jail staffing.
Um,
So can we make it 2 to 3 days with the laundry where we are without having an issue?
I would say.
Hopefully.
I would say yes.
I'm gonna send you a contact to call if you need help.
Is there anything else from our standpoint? And understand that's the world we live in every day. They support us in that endeavor. They're part of it, but they're not in the every day-to-day operation. They may not be seeing or anticipating some of the things that we're thinking out loud and saying or seeing. Is there anything else while they're convened that we need to address? Or at least make a contingency or visit about while they're here?
Eric, do you know about how long it takes for those trailers to get hooked up roughly?
The techs are en route, so once they get the fittings, and go directly to the meter, it's approximately 30 minutes.
Or in part, everything, get everything up and running?
Eric had a question that I can't answer, and I don't know that you can answer about, if they can't get the trailer because of the size of it into the area that they had originally believed or anticipated that they may need to place it to, to bring us back online at that Sallyport entrance. What about being able to block, not block, but put it on First Avenue, which would mean blocking it? Because you couldn't leave that gas trailer out there and let people be driving by and running over hoses and doing all that stuff. What if we had to get into a situation because they couldn't get in anywhere else with that trailer, and the only thing they could do is put it on first? Is that a request to the city to see if they will allow the street to be shut down, or is that something the commissioners can do?
Sheriff, I wanna just briefly touch on that too. I'm not sure if y'all remember that the food, service trucks used to deliver up the North Sally. They would go up to First and then swing back and in up that Sally. Well, when you got those big 53-foot long trailers, they can't make that swing to back in. Therefore, I think we took out a power pole, we took out, and all sorts of damages have been taken out because of that. So that's why we've just rerouted them over here on the front and just do everything right here off the front. So, we know for a fact that a long trailer cannot swing up into there.
And I don't think they can. In other words, those things, of my knowledge or recollection of them, they're pretty big. I don't know, they're 53 foot, but.
No.
That's the reason why I bring that up is they may not be able, if they come here and say, we can't park there, we can't even get up that ramp. Now we're in another deal. Plus that ramp's on an angle. I don't know about unhooking a truck. I would assume they would have to leave it hooked to the truck with the park brakes on and, but I'm just simply saying, while we're here, what if that contingency arrives that one place we can put it's on First? We don't have the authority to tell them that they can shut that street
We
down.
might can talk to the bail bond people and see if they can park it there and run that line across the Sallyport land. I mean, with that, and that will get it off the highway.
What about at the emergency clinic, there where the mobile bus used to be, and go back in there? It's still, okay.
Yeah. They gotta get right there to that gas main and
Right there.
I would think they could back it that ramp. I don't think it's that long.
I mean,
I think they
good
could-
driver, I mean, yeah.
I think they could back it in.
That's what I was
But
going to
if
say.
if they
I
can't
was thinking
all
all
of
Swift
the
drivers are
contingency
good.
right place, what would it take to be able to allow them to park it?
We would have to get in contact with the city and say, hey, we got to close this road down.
Would they
We shut it down there, Dave.
Well,
Shut it down, shut it right down
I
right
mean,
there at
I
the,
know when we had that flooding, we shut it down because there were so many personnel that were required at the emergency management center and it was, we coned it off and shut it down then. And I know, and again, this is a worst case scenario. We want to do
We- we
anything we can.
And this is
just have to get with
temporary.
the city.
Yes, so it's temporary.
This
It
is
could be-
temporary.
It could be
This-
one
this
day,
will
it could be
pass.
less than a day.
This
Well,
will
you wouldn't
pass.
be blocking anything because you just shut it off from right there over that little road that goes down to the mall and
Yeah.
paint right here. It's not affecting nothing.
But that would be for the city to, and we.
But we would call them.
We'd reach out to y'all and y'all would make that request, okay? Anything else?
I have one request. For inmate meals to purchase evening meals or whatever, I need permission from y'all to cut a live check. For the purchase of emergency meals for inmates
Need that,
without having to,
you need that in form of a motion?
yes.
It's a budget.
I'll make a motion that we make it available to the sheriff's office to purchase meals from local vendors in the event of emergency of, that they can't do it any other way.
And you call that a live check?
I would have to cut a live check.
Live check.
They don't take POs.
I'll
Sorry.
second.
They don't take POs.
So they would
Yeah,
have to go
yeah.
ahead and to
Sure,
give
sure.
Terry permission
To
to.
give Terry permission to cut a live check to pay for those meals immediately.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then we can get it to the treasurer, we can cash it for you, and you will have cash in the bank.
So now you have the money.
And then I'll just keep receipts of whatever,
Yes, to
kind of
reimburse.
like what I
them
do, we do
Yes.
for those stuff.
for the transport.
And I'll just go south, come, I'll bring that kid up there, we'll do some.
We can always move it over. That's what I'm talking about, a hot dog.
There you go.
There you go.
It'd be hot.
There you go.
By
We got
name,
no hot water with any steam on, so.
by the name of the meal, it's hot.
We
I can go
got,
without the hot milk for that hot water, I got to have that hot water.
I got a cooker sitting at precinct 4 barn. I fed them last Friday and it's still sitting there. I can drag it up here too.
All right, I want to get something straight in my mind about how this trailer's gonna go in there. You gonna come in on Second Avenue and back the trailer toward the Sally Park, or you coming in from the opposite side and backing it up that ramp?
That ramp, and then that.
Glad I'm not
That's what
having to do
saying.
that.
I'm not sure.
They used to
that-
take they used to put that big truck in there.
But keep in mind, they also went off in the schoolyard of the
I
district
understand.
office over there. And-
Ain't nothing over there you gonna hurt.
We-
That's right. I remember that.
Everybody repairs it.
Remember the ruts about that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm like you, I don't really foresee them being able to do that. I don't, being able in there, being the grade on that ramp and all that, maybe the bail bondsman, but that's his personal property, and whether or not he would allow, that's his decision. And the street is a different deal, and it can't, what be optimal is to be able to drive underneath the Sally Port and down the ramp. That can't be facilitated because of the height, and
So
even parking on the south side, we can't afford to run that out there, because that will hamper security operations of not being able to close the Sally Port. Then you'll have an escape, or you'll
But
have
it-
some type of
But
incident.
ain't this gonna be though, just like one of them Nelson trucks, I mean, it ain't gonna be.
No, it's a big trailer.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
18,
they compress natural gas, 18 wheelers. It's usually 3 tanks in a triangle pattern on there.
And plus, we're gonna get the safety, as soon as he sends the safety procedures. I don't know what the clearance he's gonna. Protect around it.
So
There'll be no smoking areas around it. No.
Are we gonna need anything for the state in order to?
this is a question for everybody. So do we need to go ahead and contact the city and tell them about the possibility and get permission to go ahead and close it down?
Because as he said, their techs are coming to look and evaluate. I don't think it's a bad contingency to. at
Yeah,
least make
go ahead and
the
have it
request
so
and
we
get
can do it immediately when it gets here.
And keep their prisoners.
Mhm. Is there any permits or anything that would have to be required for us to do anything like that?
I don't think so, not in an emergency.
That's their line, and that's their deal, and they're the ones that are doing the hooking up, and they're the ones reestablishing service.
Okay.
Everything is,
Yeah, I
and
think,
shutting the road down, that's a city street, so if they give.
Yeah.
If they give the blessing in the smoking area, we can control that.
I'll make that call to the city. That won't be a problem.
Thank you,
Just tell them they need to do it. You might go ahead and just do it ahead of time.
thank you.
Yeah.
See what they think and just close first. Block it off at 13th and down there where that street goes south, north to the mall.
That way, and everybody can still access their place.
Only thing is they have a
Was it, is it a barber shop right there?
No, they can come up the ramp, come up
Yeah,
that.
come up on the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still operate. that.
Okay.
He should be good.
Won't shut anybody off.
We do.
Greg, you know,
Be good if they could give us an ETA on when that trailer's gonna get there.
Sure would.
May not be able to do that. but
Uh,
they would. Cause I would say it's time sensitive on getting meals ordered if you go to outside vendors and stuff. If they can't guarantee that trailer here being in time, on time.
So,
I think that we just go ahead and remember that, like Terry said. Your window of opportunity is so we're all right now.
4129.
one.
Yeah, if it's 3029, that's small.
Cause they gonna have to run in the kitchen and try to get that stuff out.
Yeah,
and then get
yeah,
it
I'd say-
prepared for, and they should be.
But even-
On that now.
Even if it pulled up now and got it hooked up 30 minutes, you're still gonna be pressured.
Because here we are, we're at 2 o'clock and they typically start preparing about 2:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I think if anything, we'll go ahead and do the meal for tonight, get it purchased out of the way. And then showers and water and all that can wait till the trailer.
I don't charge that.
Yeah,
Not a lot of options here.
And then obviously, we will be communicating with jail standards every step of the way to make them aware of what our contingencies are for food first. And then as far as linen and, you know, all those things. But, and in reference to taking hot showers or whatever that case may be, we'll be in contact with them and receiving suggestions for them as to how to remain in compliance. And if there's anything that we encounter that we're unsure of, or we need some guidance, we'll be in contact with you guys. And regardless, we'll be in contact with you throughout the process, probably via a group text message, up to and including if the trailer arrives and services is reestablished or whatever, until we get through this crisis situation.
Sounds good.
Thank you all. I'm sorry to disrupt your afternoon.
No problem.
no problem.
All right, we got anything else to talk about regarding this that you can think of? Scratching our brains here.
Has any questions?
Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, sir, I'm good. I appreciate y'all letting me listen.
All right, good deal, good deal. Thank you for joining us.
yeah.
All right. Put that off. Need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion we adjourn. Second.
Motion made
Thank
by
y'all.
Commissioner Grant, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say bye.
I sent you her name and number. Okay. I went in there. this morning to go. Where's your daughter?
Yeah.
I'll call it and say, hey, we're great. We're right to make it.
Get that working right now.
Yeah, enjoy.